All right, we're back broadcasting live from the Toms River Auto Group studio right here in Northfield. Billy Schweim and my locker room youth movement. Producer Nikki Earnshaw and the intern Andrew Leeds here with me on a Sunday. And, of course, we still are, Nikki. It's still fair to say, and Andrew, that we are still basking in the glow of a big Super Bowl run and win by the Eagles. All right, but I go back. I can't help but go back. We had Mr. Negadelphia on yesterday, and I can't go back to Thursday. I turned on the TV, and I had to watch the Flyers and Sixers get blown away, right? So that wasn't any fun.
Yeah.
Then yesterday when we were having our conversation, Nikki and I decided let's talk about since we were talking about Embiid and his knee and the controversy surrounding that. What is the biggest disappointment in sports history, Philadelphia sports history? What star athlete, whether we drafted him, we traded for him, he became here on a free agency, who's been the biggest disappointment in Philadelphia sports history? 609-403-0973.
Yeah, we have a ton of texts coming in. The last one was great by Tom, Andrew Bynum.
Bynum.
That was the one before we went to break.
Yeah.
Someone no name, Eric Lindros.
You know what? There's another guy, man.
Yeah.
He he got to the Stanley Cup playoffs, but never won it. And with all the promise how big is he?
Clearly
how big he
talent.
was, right? How much talent he had.
It's funny. Two people texted in. Jack from Wildwood also just texted in Eric Lindros as well simultaneously.
That's a good
Surprised it took that long.
Yeah,
I guess because he was so good. Like people still have love for him, but there is.
Yeah, but there was a lot of even the organization, like you say, didn't they weren't high on him.
Organization.
Right. So, with all this controversy surrounding Joel Embiid and the knee talk and just the disappointment the frustration that Philadelphia fans are experiencing having Joel Embiid out with his knee, I had to call on somebody that knows really a lot about the knee.
Yep.
So without any further ado, let's go to the Toms River Volkswagen Sports Hotline and welcome into the locker room. He's the head of sports medicine for Virtua. Orthopedic Surgeon Dr. Sean McMillan's with us. Good morning, Doc.
Morning, Billy. How are we doing, guys?
All right, Doc, I'm going to be calling you real soon. I can hardly walk, dude. You're going to have to replace that knee.
I got your back, Billy. Don't you worry.
And speaking of knees, Doc, I mean, we've been dying to get you on for like the last 6 weeks because it's been on my mind. I said, that's it. I've had enough. I want to know what you know. I know in the doctor community, I'm sure you orthopedic surgeons, you're getting bits and pieces of what exactly is going on. But what is your understanding about what's wrong with his knee?
Yeah, and look, Billy, I haven't seen his records. I don't know anything personal. But when you see this from the outside, a couple things run through your mind. He had the meniscus injury last year, which again was addressed surgically. But if it's still giving him problems where he's having swelling and pain and can't do what he needs to, you got to wonder if he has damage to what's called the cartilage, which is the smooth covering on the end of the bone. And that can cause arthritis. It can cause pain and really limit you. And then you start dealing with, what are the options for someone who's, 7 feet and 280 pounds or more to treat that and let him get back to a level of high quality.
But Doc, I've had several knee operations, and I've lost a significant part of my cartilage in my right knee, and I'm sure that's what's given me the problem. But for an athlete, when you start taking pieces out of the knee, that creates doesn't it loosen the joint and make it more unstable?
Yeah, so when you start removing meniscus, which I believe is what he had done last year, again, you lose some of the cushioning that's there to cushion, the thigh bone and the shin bone. So it does lead to, downward effects, whether it's loosening the knee or just increasing the risk of arthritis. We always try to save the meniscus if we can, Billy, but sometimes it's so torn that it just needs to be trimmed like a hangnail. Is
there any procedure that can be done he's 7'2", and he's, pounding on his knee is, it's a long season. Is there any procedure that he can get that would satisfy you that he would be able to come back completely healthy and be back to his MVP form?
Yeah, so, Billy, it's tough. And when you think about guys of his size that have had knee surgeries done for cartilage damage, only a couple come to mind that come back and play at a high level. A couple years ago, or probably a decade now, Amari Stoudemire had a procedure done to stimulate new cartilage growth. And more recently, Lonzo Ball from the Chicago Bulls he lost 2 years, but had a procedure to put new cartilage into his knee as well. While it's great for the layperson, it's really tough to get back to that level when you're as big as he is and putting his body through, what it is. So I don't know that he ever gets back to playing 65, 70 games again at a high level.
Wow.
Hey, Sean, it's Nick. I got to ask you in regards to kind of the surgeries and the procedures that you could do for his knee. There was a report that came out that they would take a piece of the hip and maybe put that in the knee. Can you speak to what that type of procedure is?
Yeah, so there's different ways to address damage inside the knee joint of the cartilage, and one is putting a bone graft in there to restore some stability and I guess think about the knee joint as being like a blacktop on the road. When you start getting potholes, you can fill the potholes in sometimes to give it a smoother road. So there are different options to treat that. And again, for an average-sized person doing average things, there's many options. When you're that big, you need something really strong to be able to withstand the force and the pounding that's required. And even if he goes through that procedure, it's a lengthy recovery to build up the strength and get the body in a place to be able to do that, hence the apprehension all year with doing another surgery.
Hey, good morning, Doc. So obviously you touched on, some of the physical things that you have to work on to, improve your health after getting such a surgery. But what are some of the mental aspects of, coming back from an injury and a surgery as, big as this one? What are the mental aspects to that?
Yeah, and to be fair, Joel touched on that earlier in the season, that it takes a mental toll. You don't trust your knee. So, again, some of the things you're working on besides the physical, cutting weight, strengthening the leg, include, psychology. Can I trust the knee again? Can I, if I take a hit or if I jump and come down awkwardly, am I going to be okay to, keep going, or am I going to, have a mini panic attack? And, there's a lot that goes into it. And a lot of it, too, is how much do I want to put my body through? He's 31. He's, got all the money in the world, and he has to ask himself at some point, what's worth the toll, thinking about what he's going to be like in his 40s, 50s, and 60s.
We're talking with Dr. Sean McMillan. He's the head of sports medicine, orthopedic surgeon over there at Virtua. And a buddy of mine texted me. Actually, Mr. Negadelphi texted us yesterday, Nick. He said, Embiid has severe lateral osteoarthritis, needs an I don't know how you say that, osteotomy, and he's going to be out for a complete year. That's not a guarantee? I mean, is that something that is obviously an option, but how successful is it?
So the osteotomy essentially means that you're correcting the alignment of the knee. So his knee is sort of bowed or sort of crooked a little bit from probably losing some of that cartilage and some of it just being genetic. So when you change the angle of the knee, it actually decreases the force. It's really successful, Billy, when it comes to the average person. I don't know anyone professionally that's gotten it and come back and played.
I think Kobe Bryant had it. That's what Josh, our producer, and he also is the host of Game Night here on 97.3 ESPN Monday through Friday from 6 to 7. He said that Kobe, he thinks. What do you think about the procedure Kobe Bryant had 15 years ago? I guess it wasn't that treatment, but he had something, right, Nick, for the knee?
Yeah, he did. He had a procedure done.
He was getting the PRP treatments.
That's right.
Going to Germany, and I'm sure he's gotten some of that already, which can help decrease swelling and pain in the knee joint. But again, going back to what I said, when you start losing that meniscus, it leads to increased arthritis, and there's not a lot of great options for someone that big, and osteotomy is one of them. Although, like I said, I don't know anyone who's come back professionally to play with it.
Hey, Doc, at Joel Embiid's size, and they've kind of tried to go through the therapeutics and just limit the swelling of the knee. I mean, as someone at his size, going through that this year, I mean, how much worse can that make the knee going forward since they didn't elect for the procedure?
Yeah, and that's the double-edged sword. I mean, they're trying to avoid doing a big surgery on him because it can cost him some of his prime years. And we do have so many therapeutics that are available now to help treat it, whether it's PRP or other injections and rehab. But look, I mean, when you're 280 pounds, and he's got to be pushing more than that now, 7 feet tall, it's just a lot of force on that knee, and there's no other way around it. And look, he doesn't play as effectively if he's 240, right? I mean, he plays the way he plays because of who he is, and that's really the problem moving forward. And I honestly don't see a great ending to this one for him, but we're all rooting for him.
Yeah. Hey, Doc, obviously with modern technology and all the advancements that you guys have made over the years with the knee, and there's no way he can play with a knee replacement, could he?
I would not expect that.
I just threw it out there. I mean, you never know. I mean, are we heading that way? I mean, eventually.
I mean, yeah, it's not great options all the way around. And look, there are many new, I guess, advances besides the osteotomy and other things that are out there. But again, everything comes with risk, right? And that's something between his agent, himself, the team doctors, and all the other opinions he's gotten. It sounds like he's gotten double-digit other opinions, and that clearly tells you that there's no great, answer or option for him right now.
All right, Doctor. Well, at least you gave us some clarification on this. I mean, obviously everybody's talking about it, and how disappointing of a season it's been for the Sixers. They go into a season with great hopes and expectations. They get Paul George and Maxey, and then of course then they lose Embiid to the whole year for the because of the knee. And I really appreciate you taking time. I know you flew back from Tampa today.
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you get a suntan, Doc?
For me, it's an Irish tan, Billy.
Well, listen, I'll give you a happy early St. Patrick's Day, all right?
Thank you, guys. Be safe.
All right, thanks, Doc. There he is, Dr. Sean McMillan on the Tom's River Volkswagen Sports Hotline.
He was great.
I mean, so he basically said he doesn't really think he's going to be able to come back from this.
Yeah,
no, not be the same player. Not be the same player, at least.
So he's got a max contract for 3 years, and he's worth nothing.
I mean, that's where that forced medical retirement comes into question.
So cut the losses. Remember, we talked about this yesterday, Nick. Look at Nick. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean he was Dr. Sean was honest with us. I mean, I don't think.
I don't know what you do if you're the Sixers. Yeah. I don't know what you do at this point.
Not good.
I would hate to see it as a guy who loves the Sixers, wants them to succeed, loves Joel Embiid, wishes the best for him. You
also want him to have a good rest of his life.
You know what? You know what? One thing I should have asked Doc, like the pain threshold, because I blew my brother Bob and he blew both of his knees out. I blew my one knee out. When you come back from that type of ACL, MCL, all that stuff, it's mental. You put your foot down, you want to plant. It's in the back of your head. That pain that you felt, it's there with you.
And like Doc mentioned, I mean, it takes a mental toll on you, and it was a great question by Leedsy over here. Like, it takes a lot out of you, too, and like, do you trust it? And like, how much pressure can I put on it? It affects you.
Because in the back of your mind, you know how that felt when it blew out the first time. You don't want to go through that again.
Yeah, it's always a huge part of the process, regardless of the injury, really. Yeah. I mean, just it's human nature. So,
all right. For over 83 years, the Circle Liquor Store has offered the best selection of beer, wine, and spirits in South Jersey. It's a stone's throw away from Ocean City. It's a landmark. With a friendly staff, it's no wonder why Circle Liquors was named Best of Philly, Best of Atlantic City, with the most competitive prices around. The Circle Liquor Store is now a proud sponsor of the second hour of the Locker Room with Billy Schweim. Throw at a party, prepare for the big game. Let Chet and his staff make sure you have everything you need. Check out the website at circleliquors.com or give them a call at 609-927-2921. They deliver. That's the Circle Liquor Store. Now, I want to tell you about McCann Appraisers. For all your real estate appraisal needs, call John A. McCann & Associates, 609-263-7422. Ask for Norma. Whether for commercial or residential properties, for estate, tax, financial planning, divorce, financing, and more, the professionals at John A. McCann & Associates are licensed and ready to assist you. Give them a call immediately, 609-263-7422. All right, when we return, we'll continue with more here in the Locker Room with Billy Schweim on 97.3 ESPN.